It's a brilliant shape, this car.
Great colour.
Ripping colour. Pre-flight checks?
Do we need them?
Probably. Today we're driving a fabulous 1977 Maserati Merak SS, a beautifully set up example of a very misunderstood car. The particular car that we're driving is a blue Celeste Metallizzato example.
It's mid-engine sports car. It's got fantastic looks.
It's a fascinating car because of its styling and its technology and everything that went into it. The thing about the Merak is it's a sort of relatively unknown car. People don't know what it does. People are really comfortable and familiar with cars like the Ferrari Dino, the V6 and the V8. As an offshoot of the car that it was born from, the Bora had a V8. All of a sudden they say, okay, we need to make a more affordable version of this car. So they put a 6-cylinder engine in it. That allows for a lower rear deck lid height. So they basically flattened out the rear of the car and placed flying buttresses, non-structural design elements in the back of the car.
Just a stunning looking car. Pretty excited about this one. What a stunning landscape.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. Oh, mirrors I can actually see out of. That's a new,
Well, you've got one.
That's a new sensation. I can see out of both of them.
A lot of cars of this era, though, didn't have side mirrors.
Just don't forget, mate, this car was built nearly in the 80s.
Yeah,
It's
but
not as old as you think it is.
You're in a Maserati, right? Why
Yeah.
do you need to look behind you? That's the past, mate. You are flying.
Exactly.
Well, if that sound doesn't inspire you to drive,
I know.
I don't know what would.
I tell you what, it steers. I actually think it steers maybe better than a Dino.
Well, I always found the Dino steering a bit wooden.
Yeah, it is a bit dead.
Is this one of those Italian cars that makes you want to speak Italian?
Yes, because all the instruments are still annotated in Italian. There's another big thing this car has going for it. We've been in it for 5 minutes. It's an Italian mid-engine car,
Yeah.
and we're not yet crippled.
No, their seats
are pretty
very
good.
comfortable.
They're pretty good, man.
And I've got to tell you, velour seats are one of my favourite things. And the fact that it's got velour door trims, velour seats, the whole thing's bloody velour.
It's definitely a car of its time.
Does it feel heavy?
Well, it doesn't. It's actually quite nimble. And unlike a lot of Italian companies, they almost took a Porsche approach to the SS. They lightened it and gave it more horsepower. And the torque is just there. The torque is just there. The engine's turning at 4.5.
Yeah.
And I have it just under my foot. It's brilliant. Everybody responded to the 911. All the Italians responded to the 911. Ferrari did it, Lamborghini did it, and Maserati did it. They gave us a 2+2. I don't know what sort of humans you'll fit in those seats.
It's got Michelin XWX tyres.
Period tyres.
Period tyres.
And as we continually bash on about, they have given us back all the feel in cars like this that we lost for about 20 years.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't get the right tyres. And I think it's probably fair to say some of the reputation that some of these cars got during times when the right tyres weren't available for them was really down to that.
Yeah.
That, a combination of the wrong tyres and misuse or lack of use, and you turn a really finessed car into a piece of rubbish.
Yeah.
This is where I come into my own. But can I say something really, really bad?
Yeah.
I feel at one with the machine. It's true. Especially when it wills you to go around corners quicker. It's making me smile. I would like a Maserati.
Are you going to give me a go at some point?
Yeah, soon. Relax, man. It actually, even though it was a Citroën Maserati, you still feel like you're getting all of the Maserati mystique in this car. You feel like there is something inexplicable about the car when you're driving it that you can't really quantify. It doesn't have a Grand Prix engine. The engine started life in the Citroën SM in 2.7 litre form, and then Alfieri grew it to 3 litres in the Merak. But it just feels like a car with pedigree.
Well, I was a little bit nervous getting into this car. It's been one of those cars that since a kid I've always loved the look of. You don't want to ruin that perception you have of the car. In a normal car you use your leg to brake. In this car you use your right toe.
You think about it, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh yeah. And I really need to work out how to get into second. There we go. That engine sounds fantastic.
It is magic. It is magic.
And the balance is sensational.
It is good.
Yeah.
It is good.
There's no nervousness mid-corner. You can play around with the steering wheel.
And it has one more trump card over the Dino. It doesn't run out of fuel when you turn left.
It's a workout because we're going quick through the corners. The mid-corner speed on this car is fantastic. The ride is sensational.
The ride is good.
For this sort of driving, country back roads, twisty stuff, it's compliant but not soft. It soaks up the mid-corner bumps very nicely. How are we going fuel-wise? Is that okay?
Well, back there we had a half a tank, but
Yeah.
now it's full again. So we're going very well.
Oh, Jesus.
Because
The
Maseratis
economy
make
on this
petrol.
car,
Yeah.
as well as everything else, it's got amazing fuel economy. You
Yes,
actually get mileage as you
Get
go.
mileage. This is a very green car. Would you like me to drive again?
No. You're not getting it back now. There's really nothing not to like. Maybe maintaining it.
Perhaps.
The engine just wants to go, like literally
It's willing. There's a lot to be said for that.
a little bit of throttle and let it climb through the revs and it just wants to go. Yeah, I mean even the gauge layout is spot on.
You can read them.
You can read every single gauge. There's not one obscured by the steering wheel at all. And it's got everything you want. Oil pressure, oil temperature, water temperature, battery. I would own this car.
Oh!
No!
Did anybody hear you?
No one heard me.
Hopefully nobody heard you.
No one heard me.
We're in Omeo. That was a good drive.
Woo!
Yeah.
That was a bit. Oh, sorry.
Everyone has an idea that some of these cars are, in some ways, like a fabulous engine wrapped up in an average car. But the great thing was we came out of a day of driving the car and we revelled in it. It was a car that absolutely wanted you to go faster in it. It's got a sensational engine, it's got brilliant turn-in, it's got fabulous grip, it stops thanks to all that crazy Citroën hydraulic stuff. The whole exotic thing and the cars that kids grow up with posters on their bedroom walls of, sometimes they let you down. And that was the fabulous thing about stepping out of the Merak, was that it didn't let us down. It made you want to go faster and drive it for a longer period and drive it the next day and overtake people, and it's just one of those cars, it just works.
You just throw it into a corner and it's like it's on rails. I mean, it is outstanding. So completely blew me away. Like, I mean, all my preconceived ideas about how it would drive or handle were blown out of the water. I mean, this thing is fantastic to drive. I mean, fantastic.
One of the most peculiar things about the value proposition of a Merak is that it is worth less than cars that are far less capable than it is. If you compare it to, let's say, a 6-cylinder Dino, which is a car recognised by nearly everybody and regarded as such a beautiful piece of sculpture on wheels, you can probably buy 6 Meraks for the price of one Dino.
I think the problem will be finding one that's a nice sorted example like the car we drove. You might be able to buy a car, but you may need to spend another 40 grand.
So if we're talking about spending 150 grand on an exotic sports car in 2020, you could go out and find a Merak and improve it, or you could go out and find a sorted Merak SS like the car we drove, and you could be very, very happy with the amount of money that you've parted with.